shopping place, market also. So here you can see kind of this part of the 7 hills of Rome. We stay here on the Capitol Hill, which is the smallest and the most important. But this is the Palatine Hill. Behind, we cannot see, will be the Aventine and Mistré. At the end, it's the Celio. On this side, you see, this is the Quirinal Hill. And furthermore are S4 from the Colli Albani, from the mountains of Albany around Rome. They came here, but only when later there were John the Italic, the Sabinian, the different, and the Etruscan, they came there too. What they did, even in the 6th century, they trained up, because this was a marchy land here.
Yeah.
Everything marching. But then the Etruscan, they were very advanced in technical thing, and they built the Cloaca Massima. And so this became an area, a big area, where they can meet, where they can bring their things they want to sell, animals. So it becomes a market and a simulation place. That means a forum. It's on Republican time, before Christ, no? From the 8th century, and there we speak of the time of the 7 kings of Rome. And at least the last one were Etruscan. Etrusc, they came. And that was the time until 509 before Christ, regime. At that time, the Italian, the Roman, they liberated them from the Etruscan. And it became a republic. This republic, the second period, no, the first period, 8th century before Christ until 5th, the 7 kings of Rome. Then the period from 5th before Christ until 44, which Julius Caesar became killed. That was the time of the Republic. After the death of Caesar, it was Augustus. His name was Octavian. No? When he won the battle against Antonius, and later he revenged the murders of Caesar, and then it became an empire. And Augustus, Octavian, he calls himself Augustus, was the first emperor. The empire lasted until the 5th century about. But this Constantine the Big, what he did, after a battle, which called the battle on the Ponte of Milvio, on the Milvio Bridge, which he won against his rival, Maxentius. In this war, he went first with the cross. So the Christian would fight with him, and he won the battle. After that, he made the so-called Edict of Milano, which permitted Christianism. That was at the beginning of the 4th century, 1450 then. But in 350 and 330, he took the capital from Rome to Byzantium, who became Constantinople, which is Istanbul today. This makes Rome becoming unimportant, because all the aristocracy and all the famous architects and so on went there. So Rome was very, and then the barbars came to Rome. So we spoke about the decline of Rome.
Who came to you, like the barbarians?
The barbarians.
And that's when why Rome fell.
North, yes, that's Rome fell. And
And when did that happen around?
in the 5th century, the last king who was in Ravenna then was took off by Odoacer. It was a king of the barbarians. This was then in 6th century was the finish. So it began, and then is then the Middle Age until to the modern time. Middle Ages. So that's in big lines. You see, here it's important for you. It's to see everything,
Yeah.
because details you also can read in books.
Yeah.
You cannot remember. That's
Yeah.
just in big
Yeah.
lines, the 4 big periods. So this you have to think it's about even before Christ, no? This was the Forum Romanum from the Republican time. When we go a little more
right.
down.
In between, when the capital was in Istanbul or Constantinople, the church took it over. There was no one here in Rome anymore, just children, mothers and children. So that's why Rome became popular again. Otherwise, it would have just. This is the Holy Street.
Holy Street, Via Sacra.
This is built in 3rd century AD. Okay. Why is this street the Holy Street?
Because all troops coming back from battles, when they came back to having ceremonies on the capital, they came back on that street. Also did Cleopatra when she came to Rome. See?
Wow.
And the beginning of the entrance was there on the other side, and then there were at that time there were 7 arcs. Now this is the one
There's 7 acts like that.
who best remains. It was a podium for the orators where they speak there, no? Cicero. A podium where big speeches were held. On that side was the Basilica Julia, excuse me, and on that side was the big Basilica Emilia.
When does that date to?
This to the Basilica Julia. But it was here. And this is also a symbol of Rome. This is the olive tree.
Ah, olive tree symbol around.
Because they had three, the olive tree and the tree of ficus and wine. The tree are the symbol of Rome also. This column was the last who was put into the Forum, and there we are at the beginning of the 6th century. It's called the Focus column, and it was put on by a pope because the emperor from Constantinople gave him the Pantheon, and they made a church of it. And to thank for it, they put that. You see, then the level was even higher because part of it still they can't it raised, no? But if you don't go any place anymore, think about the garden. If you go there for a year,
Yeah.
everything, and it was high. So we have to think that until 18th century, this one was all covered, and it was called the Monte Capro because they came here with the animals, sheep and things, to feed them, no? They let them go around because this was all covered, and only after that, only in 19th century, the excavation.
Wow.
You see, even this was covered until here. Only
my
a little piece came out.
gosh.
So they know. And then the big interest for archaeological thing came out, and it's not finished. They still
Oh, really?
excavation on.
Wow. So they have a lot of digging left to do. And what's that over there?
So the 3 columns you see there are from the temple of Castor and Pollux. And around, you see, this was the temple of the Vestal, the Virgin.
Vestal Virgin.
Yes.
And all those buildings in the back?
Very, very temple from Antoninus and Faustina. And you see the original column. And you see the wall was made by tufa stone. And then later they transformed it into a church. It's a church today.
All those over there in the back?
In the back, this is the Palatine, the original Palatine. It gives us also the word palazzo, palace, no? Because that was where, by example, the first emperor, Augustus, he was born there and he wanted to live there. When he became emperor, he started to build his palace there. And all the other emperors did after him. And so those are the ruins. You have to imagine that everything was covered by marble and decorated. And we will also see from the other side. And there at the end, another very beautiful ark. It's the ark of Titus. Titus was the son of Vespasian, the one who built the Colosseum, you will say. And Titus was the one who conquered Palestine. Found, they believe that's the tomb of Romulus. But it's not sure, they believe. But
by the tree there.
Because there they found the oldest inscription in Latin.
Wow. This is Caesar's farm.
And you have, that's why I sent you in.
This is Julius Caesar's farm. They killed him 44 BC, March 15. Very important date because then there was the beginning of the Republic. And Augustus took over. Caesar was the first emperor.
Imagine.
That's beautiful home.
Behind there was the Quirinal Hill, who came until here. Inside the urn, the golden urn of which the emperor was buried there.
Say his name again.
Trajan. Trajan.
This is 100 years after Christ. The most beautiful of the four.
He died. It shows us the
like a shopping center that had about 150 stores. And when did this date to?
Also at the beginning of the 2nd century.
Wow.
Oh,
carved in wood.
17th century. The center is the Martyrdom of Saint Sebastian, and the rest are coat of arms. Pope Gregory XVI and Cardinale Scipio Borghese. He belonged to the family of the Villa Borghese, and he was the one who made these renovations in 1612. You can see that Baroque artist and carved by one of his pupils, Giuseppe Giorgetti.
This remains.
Saint Sebastian with the trying to flash this light.
Yes.
The story is not in the Bible, but it's a very ancient Christian tradition. We can see that in many works of art, for example, Peter being crucified upside down, mentioned by the early fathers' writings, by the early fathers in their writings. So, 64, Rome was burnt by Nero. That's history. Maybe to build a new city. But he put the blame on the Christians, and persecution started. And the Apostle Peter was fleeing away on the Appian Way. He could be killed. He was the leader. So on the way, have you heard about this?
No.
Then on the way, Peter had an apparition of Christ. So he asked him, Domine quo vadis? Master, where are you going? And he heard him saying, I'm going to Rome to be crucified for the 2nd time. So Peter understood that the time had come to sacrifice his life for Christ. And he went back. There he was crucified upside down by Nero, eventually. Upside down, he felt unworthy to die like his master, so he asked him. Christians use many symbols. This is a kind of a legend. They say after the apparition of Christ, these footprints were left behind on a marble stone. They are supposed to be the footprints of Christ. These are the footprints. And this became a movie and a novel called Quo Vadis. And you may see a small church on the Appian Way. where Peter is supposed to have seen Christ and went back to Rome.
This is originally where the tomb of Saint Sebastian was. I don't know. They are.
You touched it?
Yeah. We're in the catacombs right now. We're in the catacombs.
So, we did a small part, but you can imagine they had. Now this is a beautiful, it's an important excavation. It's the church mouth that we saw at the beginning of the tour. 73 years ago, after the First World War, in the beginning, in the introduction, I said we have got three caves: the Roman, Christian underground, and the church. It's a cave in Greek, catacombas, like a cave here. The Appian Road has many patricians' tombs. Noble class of people had many tombs along. According to the tradition, in the 3rd century, the remains of Peter and Paul were brought here from the original tombs. Please don't take it.
I will watch that person is held.
Alright. So first there was the catacombs, then there was a house, and then there was a church. This was all outside.
Outside. Then found again, rediscovered 73 years ago.
Okay.
1930. We'll just finish it.
Where we enter the catacombs. Dad, how'd you like it? Wasn't it? How'd you like it, Nana? You like it that much, huh?
Yeah.
It does. This is Sado's house that he is building right now. It looks like it's going to be beautiful. It really looks like it's going to be nice. This is right across the street from his parents' house. Beautiful. It's the view from this room. See the outside. Cousin Luciano. Oh, hi, Nano. This is going to be Sado's house when he gets married. You can smell the oranges. It's going to be so nice. Right across the street from his parents. This is the porch.
He designed all this.
This is Swan. This is nice, really nice. There is an upstairs also. It is going to be unbelievably incredible. Beautiful, beautiful view. Actually, two